Hey, everybody. Remember, if you're a fan of the Tennessee Volunteers or just sports in general, please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. Now, let's get to the video. Boy, go Vols. What a game. This video is going to be a reaction to the Vols going down to Tuscaloosa and absolutely whooping the newest G League team of the NBA, saying that's the type of players they have to get to be competitive in the SEC. Man, what a night. Just hopping right into it, right? I think we all know the biggest controversy of the night was Charles Bediako playing in the G League as of a week ago, and then getting granted relief or a temporary restraining order so he could get back to the college court after being in the G League. It was controversial, to say the least. I think what also made it even more controversial was the fact that the judge that granted the restraining order is a booster to the University of Alabama, a six-figure plus booster. Guys, if that's not corrupt, if that doesn't make your skin crawl, I don't know what will. I understand Alabama's huge rival. I can honestly say, if Tennessee was in a similar position, I would tell you absolutely not. Right? Like I'm not interested in that. We wanted Zakai Ziegler to come back for another year, if people remember that from last year. He went through the process and he was denied an additional year of eligibility. We did not turn around and go to a judge in Knoxville or the Eastern District of Tennessee to get a restraining order. We just proceeded with it. Alabama's trying everything to circumnavigate and get around those rules. I think it'll come back and bite them eventually. But even with Bediako, a G League player, right, a professional, if you will, playing at home, a late start, travel woes because of all of the ice and all of that, this, that, and the other, Tennessee goes into Tuscaloosa and absolutely dominates the Tide. They really, really dominated them. The score's close. But again, Tennessee came out, and I'll admit at the beginning of the game, it was a little rocky. It reminded me of the Florida game in that Bediako checked in probably 2 to 3 minutes in, and he was just getting alley-oop after alley-oop and getting rebounds. They were missing their threes pretty frequently early on, and we'll get into this later as the game progressed. That was another aspect that which led to us winning, but that was by design. But it felt like, with the way they're playing on the inside, some of these rebounds, and then them missing their threes. We all know typically a team like Alabama is not going to stay cold from three for an entire game. It can happen, but it's very rare. I sat there on the couch. I think we got down by 10, and I said to myself, oh my God, this is probably going to be another 20-plus point loss. I was proved completely wrong, and in no small part because of Nate Ament. Nate literally took that game over. He was physical. He was efficient. He was grabbing rebounds. He was taking it to the hoop. He was drawing fouls. He was hitting free throws. Nate was an absolute game changer for us. Anybody they put on him, especially the guards, you have a 6'11" forward being guarded by 6'2" guys, right? He's able to pull up with that elbow jumper and swish it over and over and over. And on that point, let's just go ahead and take a look at the box score here. He finished with a career high 29 points. Again, they had mentioned throughout the game a couple of times, he's had a couple of high-scoring games. If we're all realistic with one another, some of those games were against more inferior competition, right? However, man, oh man, whether we want to admit it or not, this was against a pretty good Alabama team. They're not necessarily known for their defense, but still they're not an easy win in the SEC, especially when you're not at home. So seeing him really taking over, and over the course of the last few weeks, we've seen him continue to grow. And again, I'll put hand up. I was completely wrong. After that Arkansas game, 4 of 11 from free throw for free throws, just absolutely cold from the floor. I thought, oh my God, this is the biggest waste of NIL money we've ever made. Since then, he's proved me and many other haters wrong. If he continues to grow and accelerate at this pace, and our team can continue to reduce some of the mistakes that have plagued us, like costly turnovers, stupid fouls, right? Tennessee can be a real threat to make it to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, especially the way he's growing. But going through the box score here, of course, it's no secret, we're bragging on Nate, or I'm bragging on Nate. Gillespie also had a huge game. 38 minutes, 24 points, 2 of 9 from 3. Hit some very, very crucial free throws there towards the end. A couple of turnovers, but nothing too crazy. Estrella really played. He got his first ever start for Tennessee tonight. He did pretty well. He brings a physicality. He's great at rebounding. Hopefully as he continues to progress through the season, he gets a little bit more healthy. And then our bench wasn't a ton of action there. You'll notice Jalen Carey, he had the majority of the bench minutes, but, unfortunately he went down. It looked as though he potentially hyperextended his knee, or he tweaked his knee. So that's unfortunate. We're definitely going to have to get him back out there. But Dwayne Brown slid in his absence there in the second half and really made a difference. But just some other stuff, right? Again, close to 70% from free throws. So, we had one more free throw attempt than they did, so we were almost identical there. Something else, and I'd mentioned this earlier, 23% from 3. It's very abnormal, I think, for us to see a Nate Oates team underperform from range, right? I do not think this was because it was an off night. If you notice the Tennessee game plan, we were absolutely smothering those guys on the perimeter. Great defense. The rotations were there. They were getting their buckets inside, especially towards the end when felt like for both teams, there was whistles left and right, nonstop. But it was a very intentional game plan by Rick Barnes to keep this 3-point percentage so low. There were certainly some shots they took that they should not have had. And then something else that is huge, out-rebounding them by 9 rebounds. Again, we're one of the best, if not the best, rebounding teams in the country with our size, with our ferocity. That made a huge difference in the game. And we did have 3 more turnovers than them, but fingers crossed. I know Kentucky was unfortunate, but even that game, we've seen those turnovers since the Arkansas game slowly come down. So if we can continue playing cerebral basketball and reducing those turnovers, I think it's really going to propel us as we get closer and closer to February and then March. But again, just wrapping this up, absolutely huge win by our Vols tonight. Absolutely dominated and out-physicaled this Nate Oates and Alabama team. They can wear their hard hats. They can talk about, how they bring their pail to each of the games. But, man, Rick Barnes showed why he's the superior coach. He showed that his game plan was better than Nate Oates, even when Nate Oates had to actively use corruption and I'm going to say it, cheating to get a G League player to try and go against Tennessee. I think the reason they did this against Tennessee is he knew otherwise they were not going to win this game. And guess what? Even with him, they still didn't win that game. So kudos to our Vols. Kudos to Nate Ament. Kudos to everybody. It shocked me. I was pleasantly surprised. This could be the start of a nice little streak. We've got Georgia coming up Tuesday night, and then we've got Auburn next weekend, 8:30 Eastern time. I'll be at that one. So let me know what you think in the comments. Were you impressed tonight? Is Nate finally starting to, I don't want to say deserve, but does it make a little bit more sense why we threw all of that money at him and recruited him so hard? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I look forward to hearing it. Thanks again for stopping in today. And remember, if you like this content, I can't ask enough. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. And as always, go Vols!